You're listening to Side Hustle Pro, the podcast that teaches you to build and grow your side hustle from passion project to profitable business. And I'm your host, Nicaila Matthews-Okome. So let's get started. Hey friends, hey, welcome back to the show. Today in the guest chair, I have Whitney Gates. Whitney is an experienced marketing leader turned entrepreneur as co-founder and CEO of Wondry Wine. Now, her diversified skill set is driven by over 13 years of experience in brand management, shopper marketing, and sales across Fortune 200 companies. At Wondry, they believe great tasting wine should be enjoyed by all, but far too often, curious wine consumers are met by this stifling sense of pretentiousness when it comes to wine, and intimidated and at times overlooked, many feel excluded from the premium wine experience. And this is what Whitney wanted to solve for. So at Wondry, they reject exclusivity and present customers with a more approachable, stronger, semi-sweet wine that's fruit-forward, aromatic, and balanced beautifully. I just love this concept. I love that she was able to define and identify a gap in this market. And in today's episode, Whitney shares how she got started from making wine herself and sharing it with family and friends to actually launching Wondry online and now to expanding onto Target shelves and more. So let's get right into it. Whitney, welcome to the guest chair. How are you?
I'm doing really good. Thanks for having me, Nicaila.
Yes, I am very excited to have you, fellow mompreneur, whatever that means, right? Making it all work, juggling these adorable babies. So tell me a little bit more about your background, though. You weren't always an entrepreneur, obviously. So what was your initial career path?
Yeah, you know what? I actually built my entire career in consumer goods industry. So I started right out of college working for General Mills. For me, it was always really interesting to see how very small products could really delight consumers throughout their day. And so I have a background in business. I went to undergraduate and business school at Washington University in St. Louis. And marketing was my focus. So once out of college, had the opportunity to do sales and marketing roles at General Mills. And I kind of bounced around some of the top consumer goods companies in the world. I went from General Mills to Kimberly-Clark selling paper towels, on to Coca-Cola, Nestle, and Keurig Dr. Pepper. But I've spent my entire career marketing, selling, and supporting these goods that are a part of the everyday American's life.
That is an amazing background. They always say that being at these top, and you've been at more than one, but being at these top consumer product good companies, it's like getting an MBA in marketing. So yes. You have seen and done a lot. At what point did you start side hustling?
I've been a side hustler all my life. Honestly, I come from two parents, type A, you're probably quintessential Black mom and dad who are out there like, we're not going to hand you anything. We worked hard and you're going to work hard too. So that was my life story. I can remember being, 11, 12, wanting to babysit for money. And so starting out at an early age, side hustling, babysitting, cutting grass. I remember working in the mall at cookie stands when I was 16 and then in retail being a waitress. But I always had something extra going on in addition to focusing on academics. So it's just a part of our DNA to be hard workers in our family.
Yes. And shout out to those parents who are like, "What? This is our money. What
right.
money? You don't have no money.
No money. This is our money."
And developing that skill from a young age, like, I want money to do this XYZ, so I got to go get it, is something that it's just priceless to be able to have that. And Absolutely. From there, did you ever start like a business in college or while you were at General Mills or anything before Wondry? I'm just curious if Wondry was like your first business.
Wondry was really my first entrepreneurial venture outside of taking entrepreneurial courses in college and business school, where I had to come up with a, call it, fake product that I had to manage. But the interesting thing about my career in corporate America and my career in consumer goods is I always tried to take roles where I was the manager of a business. And so although I wasn't a entrepreneur in the technical sense, I've been kind of a business manager since I started, working in corporate America. And to your point, it was that experience more than going to school, although I'm not discouraging people from going to school, but it's the real-time work experience that equipped me with the skills and the knowledge that I needed to be a successful entrepreneur. And so those corporate roles, although they were brutal, I know corporate America is so brutal, but there is a lot that you can learn from those roles and about entrepreneurship, and a lot that you can learn about influence. I think, honestly, the biggest thing I learned.
What do you mean by influence?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, when I was working in corporate America, the number one objective I had each day is, how do I get my job done by working in partnership with other people? And in order to work successfully with other people, you have to influence them as a leader. So whether I'm working with logistics, if I'm working with legal, if I'm working with sales teams, I'm having to plead my case for why they should do what I want them to do. And so you learn every single day on the job, or what it takes, what type of data you need, or what type of, sales story, what type of product you need, how you shape your pitch to these stakeholders. And that's what I mean by influencing.
Yes. And you learn the type of people, well, like this is what makes this one tick. And
exactly.
Like, this is how I communicate to this one. So
100%.
You're so right about that. We don't talk enough about that on this show, actually, the skills that you take from doing that kind of work and the stakeholder management. I love that reminder about, yes, corporate can be brutal, but like I always like to say, use these companies, don't let them use you.
Exactly.
And squeeze everything you can to then prepare yourself for whatever life you want, like whatever life goal, business goal. Start to say, okay, I'm going to need this, so let me pay attention here. And that really motivates you to go to work. Like, all right, there's a meeting today about XYZ. I know I'm going to need that for my own business. So let me go to work today and pay attention to that. So
that's just such a great point, because I mean, it's tough. I think everyone wants to be their own boss, but you really have to walk before you can run. And in that regard, I mean, every day on the job, although I was like, oh, I don't like listening to these people telling me what to do and whatnot. Now that I'm an entrepreneur, I've gleaned so much insight on what types of things motivates sales teams to act, retail buyers to act. A lot of these entrepreneurs are like, how do I get in Target? How do I get in Walmart? I learned all of that not by, owning Wondry. I learned that by working at General Mills, working at Coca-Cola. Even in working in those companies, you have to pitch every day to Target. You're pitching every day to Walmart. You're pitching every day to Sam's Club. Even though you're Coca-Cola, you don't just get to say, hey, here's a new product, put it on your shelf. They want to know, why is it different? They want to know, why is it going to sell more than the other product that you're looking to replace?
And that's another good point too, because you forget that these companies already have so much shelf space. So for them to talk a Target or Walmart into like, wait, you mean to tell me you want like, I don't even know how many SKUs.
You want more? Right.
You want more? Like we already got 2 whole shelves of your product. Why should we put this in?
Oh yeah. Oh gosh. And in my career, I managed everything from billion-dollar brands to brands that were much smaller, that had no budgets. And there were countless times where these retailers said no to Coca-Cola, where they said, we're not taking that product. They said no to Keurig Dr. Pepper. They said no to Kimberly-Clark. It's not just a given. And so that just lets you know, as an entrepreneur, if even the big entities of the world are not successful every time, as an entrepreneur, you're going to have to work even harder and be even smarter and agile, as you mold your business and shape it to be a success.
That's such a good reminder. You think that these companies just walk in, they say, "Hey, Joe, I got another one."
No.
Book it for February. No,
No.
they get told no too. So why wouldn't you be told no? Okay, all right. Keep it
Exactly. You
moving
got to
just
be
like you
prepared for
do.
that. And
Yeah.
I hear no every single day. And that corporate America kind of grooms you to not be as sensitive to hearing no and to, hear no and then realize why there was a no and pivot and continue to push forward.
See, you're giving us a whole masterclass in mindset before we
No.
even get more into your story. But yeah, realize why it was a no. That's big too.
Exactly.
So you can stop getting the no for the same reason. Tell me now, when did you get the idea for Wondry?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I actually grew up in Nashville, Tennessee, watching my late uncle. He happened to be paralyzed, but he used to make wine out of his garage. And so whenever we would visit my uncle, we would go back to he had a garage in the backyard, and he would wheel around making wine out of the purest of ingredients, using really simple, rudimentary tools. And so obviously, it was a young girl, so I wasn't drinking any of the wine, but it was so cool to see our friends and family members just in awe of what my uncle was able to make despite his disability, but also just the uniqueness of his product. I mean, he specialized in a lot of people will call it moonshine. We just I call it strong wine that it came from non grapes. So he would make wine out of peaches, pears, corn on the cobs. He was constantly experimenting and iterating, and so I got really inspired by that as a young girl. And so fast forward to me being in my early 20s. I was working for Nestle at the time in St. Louis, and I just decided to teach myself how to make wine. Unfortunately, my uncle had passed by the time I, got the, I don't know, call it confidence to try on my own. And so I honestly had to teach myself how to make wine. And so that was, our early 20s. So that was a decade or so ago. I won't reveal my actual age, but, a decade or so ago. And I just literally started Googling and experimenting and finally stumbled upon a process to consistently make wine like my uncle made, which was always known to be strong, fruit forward, and just a unique beverage experience.
I love how you describe your product. You're clearly someone who knows that you need to help us understand what it is, what category it would fall in, and then the differentiator of it, because they're different kind of wines, they're different type of cocktail beverages. So what category would you describe Wondry in?
That's a question that we honestly get from retail buyers that we're selling to. They can't really put us in a box, which is a beautiful thing for us. When we set out to launch Wondry, we set out to do something that no one had ever done before. And so we call our wines a hybrid between a premium wine and a craft cocktail. Some retailers will say that it is a ready to drink cocktail and put us in the ready to drink cocktail section. Some find us just a fruity, high alcoholic wine, and they'll put us in the wine section. But it really, it varies. And I get a kick out of that because that truly tells us that we're doing something disruptive.
Did you ever feel pressure to like, oh my God, they can't classify us. They might say no simply because of that.
I never thought of it in that way. I always thought that it offered us flexibility. A very interesting fact about the wine industry is, despite wine being one of the oldest it is the oldest alcoholic beverage. Obviously, it existed, back in the Bible days, and but there's been such little innovation that has happened within this industry. Fast forward to today, it's a long-standing product category, but because it hasn't innovated like you're seeing in other categories like cocktails and spirits and, seltzers, they're starting to see a decline because you've got a lot of the people that fueled the growth of the wine industry who are growing older, they're drinking less, they've got less discretionary income. And so the wine industry is seeing softness in sales. And so the cool thing about the flexibility of Wondry is that you can go to a retailer who may be struggling in the wine category and say, hey, we're not bringing on any new items, but if you look at the ready to drink cocktail section, that's where all the growth is happening in alcohol. It's these new products that, you've probably seen them. They're cocktails in a can or cocktails in a really big
Yes.
glass
Slow.
bottle. That is what is fueling growth. And so the beautiful thing about Wondry is if we get a no from a wine buyer, we can go to the ready to drink cocktail buyer and say, hey, we've got a product for you. And it's a completely different person.
Different pitch too.
It's very, I get on PowerPoint and I tweak a few words, remove wine and put cocktails. So it's pretty cool.
How did you go about manufacturing it?
Great question. We learned by doing. So like I mentioned, I taught myself how to make wine back in my early 20s, but that was in small batches. It's nothing like, being a mass producer of wine. And so my husband, who was really the inspiration for us launching this product to the world, and for me getting out of the kitchen, just, making wine in small batches, we worked together and I ended up taking collegiate courses at one of the most accredited schools for viticulture and enology, which is the science of winemaking and grapes. And my professor, I would just, I'm kind of a geek in class, so I'd always ask a lot of questions and tell him kind of what I was thinking about how I thought the wine industry could innovate. And he was just like, I love your line of thinking. We actually took him on as our consultant. So between him, my husband and myself, we put together a small winery operation out in Carrollton, Texas, which is where we are currently before we expanded into a bigger facility. But we learned by doing. We were constantly buying equipment, constantly iterating. But we started with a 1,400 square foot facility. Now we're up to, I think, around 6,000, 7,000 square feet. And we hope to get to double that next year.
Now, this is the beauty of side hustling right here, because what you're saying sounds like a big investment.
Yes.
Are you comfortable sharing, like, how much do you think you had to invest upfront for that learning process?
Yeah, we've been honest about this, in particular during Shark Tank, because they're always like, well, how much have you invested? Me and my husband, we took a leap of faith. I mean, we're believers, and we felt like we had put together a really unique and disruptive product, and we were willing to take that leap. So we liquidated our 401ks. To an extent, I gave for $50,000. My husband gave $50,000. And so we came forth with $100,000 investment in August of 2021. And from that, we built this, kind of multi-million-dollar entity, but it started with our 401k dollars.
Wow, multi-million. Like, where did you begin? Where did you start selling? Online, or did you go directly to retailers?
Great question. And so this is something I really took from my experience in corporate America. It's also a great piece of advice for any entrepreneur or aspiring entrepreneurs is start small. We started off, we wanted to know that we had a product that was a viable proposition. So we started selling direct to consumer and online. Back in the day, so this was in 2021, we had our website, we had Instagram, and we had Facebook. And so we used Instagram and Facebook and our own networks to try to drive awareness that we had this new product line. And we quickly learned within the first couple of months, as we were selling every single day, we had, sale. And each day they grew bigger and bigger. And then we decided, hey, this product has demand. So we literally went door to door, I kid you not, to liquor stores, grocery stores here in Dallas, Fort Worth. I was 9 months pregnant. We both had full-time jobs at the time. So this was during COVID. I was pregnant. And so during the lunch hour, I would pop out with my cooler. My husband sometimes couldn't live. I wish I was making this up. I would literally, I remember one of these days I had ended a Zoom call and loaded up our cooler with wine and went down to our uptown area and just went door to door. And I said, hey, we've got this product. Here's our sell sheet. It'll deliver incrementality to your store because you have nothing like it. And we're bringing in new drinkers into the wine industry. It was, for us, it was, how do we solve a problem? Again, influence. Think about the problem that your stakeholders have, or the vested interest that your stakeholders have. For store owners, they want to make more money. They want to bring more customers into their stores. So I would shape my pitch and say, this product is something you do not have on your shelf. It's something that is going to bring new customers to your store, new customers to your wine category. And that's how we got our start in retail. And then my husband had a couple of key points of contacts that got us into Target. And so we got into Target and Total Wine by leveraging our network, going door to door. And within the first couple of months of being in, we got 16 stores in Target here in Dallas, Fort Worth. And we, with 16 stores, became the number 2 Black-owned alcohol brand nationwide with just 16 stores. And then we just kept using that as a proof point. And so the point I guess I'm trying to make is you don't have to swing for the fence at first. It's actually better that you don't. When we launched in those 16 stores at Target, we were self-distributing. So again, I was in my 3rd trimester stocking the shelves of Target. I would run into people and they'd be like,
I cannot believe this.
I wish it's like, it's out of a movie. My brother's always like, you should have had people just following you with cameras at this point. Because I was in the back rooms of Target, pregnant, and then, before the store opened, stocking shelves. And we used those early days at Target to understand each week what's selling, looking at, feedback from customers, because I'm stocking shelves and they're like, oh, I just tried that. It was delicious. Or, oh, I've never seen this before. And so you get this, you can use the early days to really iterate, to creating an even greater proposition. And that was how we got to be where we are.
So in essence, once you get in one place, really take some time to study and analyze the data there to see what's working, what's not, before you start pitching other stores. Because sometimes you can get so caught up on, I want to be everywhere. We got in one, let's do another. And then it's like, wait a second, you need to figure out what's going to work so you can do even better. You can make sure that they're happy, and you can then say, oh yeah, they're happy. We did this for Target XYZ.
Exactly. That's just such a great point, because a lot of these larger retailers, they don't have a high tolerance for not so great results. So once you get into Target, you got to perform. Or once Walmart gives you a shot, you got to perform. And so you want to know that you have the absolute best version of your product or service when you go to these big guys, because if you don't perform once they put you on shelf, they're not going to have a lot of patience, and then you may not get a second chance. When we launched, we thought about starting at farmers markets for people who are entrepreneurs that are just starting out. Start at a farmer's market, start getting feedback. I know how people feel about giving away your product, but go to friends and family members, give away your product, and just say, hey, all that I want from you is to fill out this survey. And that's how you're able to really optimize your offering and ensure that you're delivering the best.
How did you manage optimizing the offering, right? Receiving the feedback while also managing growth and the pitches, because if you wait for it to be perfect, you'll never pitch, right? So how did you manage those two priorities?
Yeah, I think I forget the saying, but it's ultimately good is good enough, right? So I think we just it's not that we wanted to get it absolutely perfect, because nothing is going to be perfect, and perfect sometimes comes at a cost. And that's also another thing. You've got to be very cognizant of your cost, and just the fundamentals of running a business will make or break you. You could have the sexiest, coolest product in the world. I mean, if any entrepreneurs ever watch Shark Tank, you'll have some really creative products and services that are like, we haven't really made any profit, or, we're struggling to keep the lights on. If you don't know the business fundamentals.
Great design. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, the packaging's all this. But if you don't know the fundamentals of running a business, you could have the best product in the world, but you will likely fail. And so for us, we wanted to get to good enough, to a point where we had consistently heard, hey, this watermelon rosé, that is it. That's great. Or this creamy chocolate martini, love the packaging. As long as we consistently heard good feedback and we personally felt good about it, it was good enough. But in the back of our minds, we're always, as business owners, focused on, cost of goods and how we're managing the business as well.
Now, before you started going to retailers, you were just going direct to consumer. How
Mhm.
did you really get people to be interested? Because if I put up a website today and I'm selling this wonderful new Black owned alcohol, whatever, like
Mhm.
you still have to get people to click buy. So what do you think helped you with the marketing, really helped you with the conversion from the marketing?
Ah, great question, because the environment it's honestly completely changed since we launched. I mean,
Mhm.
when we launched Wondry, it was the time of social media where reels weren't even, I don't even know if in 2021 reels were really a thing. It
Yeah.
was static post. It was, back in the day, you could just post a picture of a wine bottle and it was just like
Yes.
beautiful background. Back in the day when social media, I say back in the day like I'm old.
But
Back in
still,
the
I mean,
day,
things change so much. I know what you mean. I love me a static post.
yes, static posts are like not a thing anymore. And at
Yeah.
the time, it was about, oh, what filter could you use to make it look perfect? And how do you create this overly glamorized environment with your
Yeah.
product and service in? But that is completely different. Right now, it seems like followers, people in social media are looking for authenticity. They want to see a peek into your business and you as co
Yes.
founders and your story. And so, my advice for aspiring entrepreneurs or current entrepreneurs is really that, particularly Black and female entrepreneurs,
Mhm.
the customers out there are rooting for you because of who you represent. There's not enough of us. We're underdogs. And so use social media to tell your story, to tell the background of why you're here. What everyone says, what's your why? And that is what goes viral a lot of times is people find out you've got this hardworking, for us, it's like these hardworking Black owned business with a family. They're out here, my husband's a lawyer hustling. I was at the time full time working in corporate America, but we're juggling kids. People love seeing that. And so I would say just be consistent in
Mhm.
sharing your story in social media, leveraging influencers where you can. I mean, find influencers that are willing to share your product or service just in exchange for an in-kind donation. If you're selling makeup, see, hey, cold call or cold direct message an influencer, say, hey, I'm a Black owned business. I've got this makeup line I'm trying to sell. Would love to see if I send you a sample, would you post about it? I
Mhm.
think that's the way that you use social media to your advantage, because we are in a industry now where social media can literally make your
Still,
business overnight.
yeah, still, it is one of the greatest things to ever come around. Say what you want about it, it
Yeah.
can really, it does change your business.
Yeah.
Now, so what stage did you quit the job and decide to devote yourself full time to the business?
Yes, it was, I believe, April 2022. That was about almost a year into us launching Wondry. We were already on the shelves of Target and Total Wine.
Yeah.
We had seen, we had proof points, although it was
Mhm.
16 stores with Target, and I think we were in close to 20 something stores in Total Wine. We had proof points. Our product was selling. We were conducting tastings ourselves. We were doing sampling events. Me and my husband, we were in Target stores. We were in Total Wine sitting there. People thought we were workers, like of
Yeah,
employees of
employees
Target.
of Target.
Yes. We're like, no, this is our wine company. You have to give us a try. And
Yeah.
it was then when we got the confidence, we're like, okay, we're getting real time feedback. We're seeing how people are reacting when they're trying our stuff. We're seeing their comments on social media. And we took a leap. And in April, when my husband was like, I think we need someone on full time. We're moving in a direction where this business could quickly grow and scale. And so
Mhm.
with entrepreneurship, a lot of it is faith, but I would say insight led faith. That's the analytical person in me.
Insight led. Now, right, you gotta be realistic, but you gotta have
Right.
faith too, because a lot of the things that happen, there is no, you can't predict or control everything. You
Mm-mm.
can control the controllables, but some of the things that happen are truly an act of faith. Now,
Yes.
at what point did you do Shark Tank, and how was that experience?
Gosh, yes, that's a really great question. We applied for Shark Tank. I think I had left my Keurig Dr Pepper in April, but
Mhm.
so I we left before we even got a yes from Shark Tank. We applied in early 2022,
Mhm.
and they called us back. Call it Q2 2022, and they say, "Hey, we want to evaluate you to be on the show, but it's a pretty long and grueling process. I mean, it took months
Mhm.
of us working with a producing team. We
Mhm.
had to craft our pitch and craft what our set would look like. We had to get in front of the executive producing teams and pitch to them. And it was in July of 2022
Mhm.
where they said, we're going to fly you out to California. And so they flew us out to Los Angeles,
Mhm.
and it was still in COVID, so it's all just so crazy. I mean, we were wearing masks. Had to take constant COVID tests. But if we tested positive with COVID, they wouldn't let us film. And so it
Oh.
was, yeah, July of 22, we filmed, and the filming went incredible. But even at that, you're not guaranteed to air. Even if they film you, they say, hey, we have the
Wow.
discretion to decide if we're going to put you on national TV or not. And it was, I will never forget, it was November of 2022. And my cousin texted me. He said, you're going to be on Shark Tank. And I said, what? Because you're not supposed to, you can't tell people what's
How
going
did he
on. So
know? He saw a
it,
commercial?
they put us in a commercial and they hadn't even told us anything. And I'm like,
I
what?
love it. Yeah.
So
Which
yeah, we found out, and shortly thereafter they emailed us and say, oh yeah, you're going to be on Shark Tank on, I think it was November 11th of 2022. And that was really it.
For you, was that experience, were you at all concerned with like diluting your business, or was it more important to you to get a really good partner and also the visibility?
Initially, even though I was a Shark Tank fanatic,
Mhm.
initially I had told my husband, I'm like, I don't really know if we should go on. I don't know what they're going to do for our business. I don't necessarily want anyone to have stake in our business because, we're a prideful
Yeah.
family business. This is about generational wealth, financial, but also just in the giving our kids wealth of experiences and passing that on to them and teaching them what happens when you put faith and hard work and passion. So this is our baby. So
Mhm.
giving just a random person a portion of our business, even though, Mark Cuban, who is our investor, he's a billionaire, we still were kind of a little leery of it. But we
Yeah.
decided to take the leap. And it was one of the best decisions that we made because the Shark Tank effect is real. The moment they aired our Shark Tank episode on ABC, the nation knew about Wondry, and it showed. We our web store is powered through Shopify. The orders every second, literally, you're getting
Yes.
ding, 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 and so you're getting sales through your web store, and then in retail we're selling out, and you're getting a flood of emails from people who are going to your website, and the beyond the financial benefit of Shark Tank, it was such a
Yeah.
vote of confidence for us because we had people, particularly females and Black people, who looked at us and emailed us and just said, I love what you're doing, keep going. And they just said our ancestors would be proud. And that is what
Oh.
keeps us pushing each and every day, because it's entrepreneurship is not easy. It's the hardest, single-handedly the hardest thing I've ever done. And being a mom is really tough too. But entrepreneurship is really, really, really tough. And so when you get the communities like the Black community that elevate you and lift you up and say, we
Yeah.
need you, I mean, that experience has been honestly one of the best experiences we've had.
I mean, that's so impressive to get a deal from Mark Cuban. And, I'm sure that aspect of it too, that stamp of approval
Yes.
was just everything. And now you touched on the financial aspect of it, but I'm curious what your experience has been, especially leaving your job. Was it profitable very early? Is it profitable to begin with?
Yeah.
Let's start there. What has been your experience on the financial side?
Yeah, I mean, and this is where the business fundamentals come in. I mean, we were profitable early on, but that's
Ooh,
because, in my experience managing businesses, I understand how critically important it is to manage your costs and
yeah.
just to be aware of every penny that you're spending. And so we've structured this company in a very lean way. I mean,
Mhm.
starting off with it was powered by me and my husband. We still, with the help of, a couple of really hardworking contractors, make every single bottle of our wine. This is not something that we go out to a co-packer and produce. We are busting, every single day, and being really cognizant of every penny that's being spent. And so financially, we've been blessed to build a multi-million-dollar business and manage our costs pretty effectively. But I say that that's a testament to the understanding that I gained from corporate America.
Tell us a little bit more about the wines, because now actually I now I actually just want to have a cocktail after this.
Yes.
So what is it that makes them so sought after? Like, was it the taste, the combination of taste? What do you think?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm biased, so I'm gonna obviously. I think there's a lot of great things about our wines, but what we consistently hear from our customers, which is reiterates to us that what we're doing is exactly what we intended to do. Is that we're delivering a premium cocktail like taste in
Yeah.
this convenient wine format. So for us as millennials, me and my husband, we're cocktail drinkers, but as we start to grow older, we're like, well, we'd love to kind of dabble in the wine category, but we didn't let none of the wine spoke to us because we love fruit forward, flavorful cocktails. And, we go to the wine section and it's just kind of this bland sea of white and red wine. And I'm like, ugh, none of these are fun. None of these represent, us as millennials who love
Yeah, these are the kind of
strong
wines I
drinks.
like too. Like, give me some fruit, some.
Yes, exactly. So that's literally how we crafted Wondry. I mean, all of our wines are 13.9% alcohol by volume. And so if you look at other semi-sweet wines, that's three times the alcohol of your standard or average semi-sweet wine. But we craft them in this it's a proprietary fermentation and infusion process. We craft them by infusing all of our wines with organic extracts. So we
Mm.
are literally extracting the oil, or our suppliers are extracting the oil from the fruits, like fruits like watermelon and from hazelnuts for our creamy chocolate martini. And so we're using really premium ingredients to deliver this heightened alcohol experience, but it's so beautifully balanced. You will not know, which is tricky, that you're drinking a 13.9% alcoholic drink.
Yeah.
And so that's what separates us is the, infusion of organic extracts, the heightened alcohol experience. And people say that our wines or our cocktails deliver this fully sensorial experience. The aroma is going to hit you before the taste really does. When people open up a bottle, like, oh my gosh, with our peach and peach piece, for example, they say this smells just like peaches. And so we want to give you the full sensory experience, from taste to sight, with our labels being super vibrant, to smell. And we want to make you feel a certain way with the heightened alcohol. So everything is done with intent to deliver an experience that you really haven't tried before in the alcohol industry.
I love it. And how are you and your husband able to do this? Like, it sounds like you're still knee deep, 10 toes down
Yes.
in the business. How
No
how are
sleep.
you
No
finding
sleep.
time
We
for
don't
each
sleep.
other? What does that look like though? I mean, I guess we'll
Right.
get to lightning round, but what does a day look like in your life when you are actually still in the process of the making or supervising, or, just having your eyes in that, and you're
Yeah.
in so many areas still?
Yeah, another really good question. I think for us, when we started off, me and my husband were doing everything, but that as you scale becomes not sustainable. And so as we've scaled, we're now in 15 states and markets throughout the United States and multiple big box retailers, we've had to really delegate. That's the other thing that I learned, in working in corporate America, using your work experience, to help you along the way, is if you realize in these corporations, they have specialists, they've got a legal team to handle legal, they've got the sales team to handle the selling, marketers to handle marketing. And so, while I'm the CEO and handle a lot of our business development efforts, we are working with, other entities that can help us, from a social media perspective. We have a team that's helping us develop the content and ideate around what, will really represent our brand in the most powerful way. We've got people that are helping us with selling in our product into new retailers. And so I would say, starting off, you may not have the flexibility or the resources to, invest in delegating roles out to others. But as you, mature and you get a little bit extra cash, I would say try to find people that are specialists in your areas of need, and that helps you better reach that work-life balance. But I mean, even with that, our days are long. I mean, I wake up and now we've got both kids in Montessori school, so that's good. Before I was, watching our youngest trying to hold meetings, and that was too tough to manage.
Do you have a nanny now, or is it just like you drop them at school and just use that time?
Well, we are also just so grateful to have a village. I mean, here in Dallas, my husband grew up here, so my mother-in-law helps watch our kids and helps us to getting them ready for going to sleep and their dinner and all of that. And so that's helpful. She is ultimately, she's my mother-in-law, but she's our nanny. She's, our counselor. She's everything. So we've been thankful. We're so thankful to have her and, a village of family members who support us. But that's been helpful, but the days are still crazy, even though you have help.
I can imagine. We're going to jump into the lightning round. We could talk for so much longer, but I am curious to know your answers to these. So are you ready?
Mm-hmm. Ready.
Okay. Number one, what is a resource that has helped you in your business that you can share with the Side Hustle Pro audience?
I'm not paid to say this, but don't discredit Shark Tank as a great way to learn, in an entertaining way, to learn about what it takes to manage and launch a successful business. Those sharks, they're billionaires, they're millionaires. They're constantly giving you keys. Before we launched Wondry, I would sit up in COVID, pregnant, with morning sickness, sitting, watching Shark Tank, writing things down. This is what they told this business. So this is what, just jotting down tips. So Shark Tank.
Okay, so who is a non-celebrity Black woman entrepreneur who you would switch places with for a day, and why?
Pinky Cole. Hands down.
Yes.
I love her. I love what she's doing. And my love for Pinky Cole spans beyond just the fact that she has built this vegan restaurant and bar empire. She is authentically Pinky Cole. She's not out here stunting for anybody. She's not stunting for the gram. She'll get on Instagram, she'll get on live, and she'll have no makeup. I love her. She's just true to herself. But the biggest thing that I find inspiring about her is how committed she is to lifting her community up as she climbs. That is forever will be my answer if it's a non-celebrity. Otherwise, it would Oprah.
Number three, what's a non-negotiable part of your day these days?
Sleep. Prioritize it. Last night I went to bed at 9:30 p.m. and it's like, I know you got to give sacrifice in some way. Like, I don't get to watch my shows, but sleep.
Sleep. Number four, what's a personal trait that you think has really helped you to be successful in business?
Relentlessness. My dad always said, even to this day growing up, that I had an intensity. And it's something that we used to be really into sports and athlete. And there's just this intensity that I've had. I think it goes back to, me hustling, trying to babysit, cut grass. I've just always wanted to be successful at everything that I've set forth in doing. And so I think that relentlessness you've got to have as an entrepreneur, because there are going to be days that you get beat down, but you got to get right back up.
Get up. Get up. And then finally, what is your parting advice for fellow Black women entrepreneurs who want to be their own boss, but are nervous to leave the steady paycheck?
I would say take your time. Like we mentioned before, get the proof points before you go all in. There's a lot of people out there that are just like, just do it, just go. I mean, but there are realities of life. A lot of us, whether we're single, single moms or you're caring for your parents, you have obligations. And so I would say, don't be afraid to start small. Farmers markets, web store, just, friends and family. Understand that you have a viable product that's got a lot of demand or service before taking the leap, because there are real world consequences if, perhaps your business doesn't do as well as you thought upon it launching.
Right. I love that advice. That is the perfect note to end on. So, Whitney, where can people connect with you and Wondry after this episode?
Yes, please go to our Instagram. It's our hub for everything. Wondry Wine on Instagram or Facebook. We dabble a little bit with TikTok. Got to work on that, but you can get a sneak peek into our world as entrepreneurs in the wine industry.
All right, and there you have it, you guys. I will talk to you next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hey guys, thanks for listening to Side Hustle Pro. If you like the show, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts. It helps other side hustlers just like you to find the show. And if you want to hear more from me, you can follow me on Instagram at Side Hustle Pro. Plus, sign up for my 6-bullet Saturday newsletter at sidehustlepro.co/newsletter. When you sign up, you will receive weekly nuggets from me, including what I'm up to, personal lessons, and my business tip of the week. Again, that's sidehustlepro.co/newsletter to sign up. Talk to you soon.